Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a very, very special interview for me today. My name is Sandeep Sohan from Radiodabang 99.5 FM, Houston's #1 South Asian radio station here in Houston. And it's also a MyCon presentation. This definitely has to be one of my most special interviews. A little nervous too, but I think after meeting him for the first time, I'm completely fine now. But I have the pleasure to be here at Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office with the sheriff himself, Mr. Eric Fagan. Sheriff Fagan, thank you so much for having us here, and welcome to Radiodabang.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right, sir. So we'd like to first thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule, and it's a pleasure having you here. But want to start off with, you are running for re-election. What are your top priorities for Fort Bend County if you're granted another term?
Well, if I'm blessed to win another term, I want to keep Fort Bend one of the safest counties in the state of Texas. Mm-hmm. During election time, a lot of people want to say you're unsafe and try to use scare tactics. But I'm very happy that our Fort Bend County District Attorney actually had a study done, and that study showed that Fort Bend County now is one of the safest counties in the state of Texas, and I want to continue to keep it that way.
Amazing, amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And looking back at your first term, of course, now you just mentioned that it's one of the safest out here. What do you think was your greatest accomplishment looking back on your first term?
There were a lot of great accomplishments, but they're not just my accomplishment. I have a great team behind me, my command staff, and also the men and women that work here at Fort Bend County. Yeah. But one of the big things I'm very proud of is how we address human trafficking. Right. Human trafficking in Fort Bend County was something that was not being addressed because the last administration said human trafficking didn't exist here, or gangs didn't exist here. Right. Well, we've arrested over 100, close to 200 human traffickers right here in Fort Bend County, rescued over 50 victims of human trafficking, arrested more gang members, over 75 gang members, taking off more guns and drugs off the streets of Fort Bend County than ever before. So that are the things that I'm proud of my administration and this agency are doing.
Oh, wow, that's absolutely amazing. I mean, those numbers are, incredible. Hats off to you and to your entire, like you said, it's not just you, but your entire team. I mean, how does that make you feel when you have such a great, great people of a team around you to work like,
It makes me very proud, very proud. Now, I will say this. Yeah. I worked for the Houston Police Department, I'm sure, as you know, for over 34 years, and I thought Houston Police Department was the greatest agency in the world, and nobody could match them. Until I came here, the men and women here at the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office do a tremendous job, and they really care about the people here in Fort Bend County. And the community, we're very diverse, but all members of the community works together to keep that going. Even though we're the largest agency, we are also one of the most underpaid here, being the largest agency. So I'm working to make sure with the commissioners that the men and women here get paid what they should get paid, so we can bring more individuals here to this agency to keep our county safe.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we are here with Sheriff Eric Fagan of Fort Bend County, and this is Radiodabang 99.5 FM, MyCon presentation. So Sheriff, my next question, you achieved a lot during your first term, and all the amazing things that you've done, including securing $5.1 million in grants, $1 billion in grants. What challenges did you face while securing this funding, and how will it be used to improve safety further in Fort Bend County?
Well, I became sheriff here at Fort Bend County. They had a grant writer that was part-time. I knew that we needed a full-time grant writer. And I will say this, when I hired that grant writer, Dr. Signorati, we had to pay for that, over $80,000 a year to pay her to come. I had some critics saying that I was wasting the county's funds to hire and not have a part-time. Well, that $80,000, like you just said, gave us over $5 million in grants that we can buy things like technology, equipment, things that we can use for crime fighting, flock cameras, those type of things, things that go to SWAT to keep the individuals that we're after safe, and also the men and women safe as well. So doing those type of things with those grants. And I want to even get even more grants even next time or during my next term, so we can keep up with the technology. Criminals are getting smarter, but we must stay one step ahead of them with technology. So that's why it's so important to do these type of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as technology advances in this, in this generation, I mean, one of the biggest talks today, one of the biggest concerns is school safety.
Yes.
So, what are the security measures that you have enforced for school safety?
Oh, I'm very proud to say this. When I became sheriff of Fort Bend County, I invited all law enforcement leaders here to the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office, the municipal police chiefs, each constable, each ISD chief, to come and meet with me to talk about school shootings. That was the first time in the history of Fort Bend County that all law enforcement agencies, we met together for one reason, keeping our children safe. What should we do? We don't want what happened in Uvalde to happen here. So we discussed that, and by us discussing that, we have a plan. And by me doing that, I was recognized by Texas Star as a rising star in Texas. And I had a plan that if your officer, whatever agency, is on patrol and they don't have a call, to drive in the parking lot of a school. That will give extra manpower to the schools. So those types of things that we're doing to make sure that our children are safe.
That's great. That's great. That was almost the answer to my next question too. Fort Bend County is a very, very diverse county. You've got a lot of South Asians. That our listeners here are from Fort Bend County, and of course Harris County. But for Fort Bend County, with it being so diverse, how are you able to get the message across about their concerns and their questions about these policies?
You're right. We are very diverse. But that word diversity, people throw it around a lot. But the word that goes with that diversity is the word inclusion. Inclusion without diversity is meaningless. When I became sheriff of Fort Bend County, the entire command staff didn't look like me and you. They were all white males. Being the most diverse county, your children and my children, when they look at the command staff, they don't see anyone that looks like them. So when I came here, I made sure that my command staff reflected Fort Bend County. I hired South Asian, I hired Hispanics, I hired African Americans, also hired Caucasian, but each one of them were qualified, were qualified to do it. Because I was, like I said, I worked for the Houston Police Department, but I lived in Fort Bend County at that time for over 31 years, and I was offended to hear someone say that this sheriff's office would hire a minority if they could find a qualified one. That offended me.
I would have thought that would offend you.
I myself graduated from college criminal justice. I graduated #1 in my class. Then I went on to get a master's degree in juvenile forensic psychology to understand mental health issues. I personally interviewed and we did screening on individuals' mental health with a licensed psychiatrist before they went to court. And you telling me I'm not qualified? So I knew that the men and women from the minority community were qualified, and that our children need to see that. So when they want to come to law enforcement, they can say, hey, I could be the sheriff, I could be the chief or captain. They need to see that. That's what I meant about diversity without inclusion is meaningless.
I commend you on that. Thank you for all the amazing things that you've done, of course, for the community, for Fort Bend County, even for the city of Houston. As you said too, you work for the Houston Police Department. That's probably why you've been awarded many times as an officer. Can you talk about the most challenging situation you've incurred in your career and how it shaped your approach to law enforcement?
Well, one of the challenging things that I saw in law enforcement, being in law enforcement now, going close to 40 years, was I always noticed that law enforcement was a male-dominated industry, and it still is. But I wanted to make inclusion,
right.
that all genders could be a part of law enforcement. So my chief, the chief happens to be a female, African American female. We have 254 counties in the state of Texas.
Yes.
So that means we have 254 sheriffs and 250 chief deputies.
Yes.
They vote for the best chief deputy every year. Guess who was voted the best chief deputy? A female.
Oh, really?
My chief deputy was
chief
voted the best chief deputy. So that shows that anyone can do this job, no matter what gender, what race, or what culture you're from.
So that, again, that's absolutely amazing, and the reason why he's, the Sheriff Eric Fagan, and someone that's given, you said 40 years, right? Given their life to public service. What is that motivation though that keeps you going?
The motivation,
because it can be. Oh, sorry to cut you off, but like you said too. I asked you how your week was, and you said, "Oh, there's been some challenges," but that's part of it.
Yeah, that's
part of the job, right? But what keeps you going?
Yes.
What keeps you motivated?
And what motivates me, I think it motivates mostly everybody in law enforcement. A spirit of service. You want to serve others. My faith is Christianity, and your faith may be Muslim, but mostly all faith is about being charitable, helping those who is not as fortunate as us, but to help them. So we have to have that spirit of service. That motivates me. You spoke about all the awards I've got. I got Officer of the Year many times, and one of the times was for capturing a capital murder suspect, helping someone in a fight. But the one that stands out most to me was saving the life of a 6-month-old baby that had crib death. The grandfather ran downstairs with the baby and just thrust the baby in my arms. First thing I did was fell to my knees, said a prayer, and started CPR on that baby. And thank the Lord, the baby, came back. That motivates me. That should motivate every officer, because you never know what we're called on to do. So that motivates me to always continue. That young lady that I saved is now a nurse, a medical nurse, saving other lives. So I'm very grateful and very proud of that more than anything else in my career.
It led from you helping someone, now that leads into her helping, many people, hundreds of people.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. And with your busy job, as we are getting close to wrapping up, with your busy job, do you ever get a chance to maybe listen to South Asian radio or music or any of the films? Well, Fort Bend County is pretty diverse, right? It's
very diverse, and I go to different festivals and events, and I'm very proud and happy to see that. And I was just speaking about my faith. When I went to a temple, a Hindu temple, and when I saw it there, it reminded me of because they wanted to feed others, making sure that others that was less fortunate to help them. It was one of the tenets that I saw, and I love I'm a history buff, and so I saw that the history of how it went on, and how about fruit giving, helping farmers raise food, and all these different things. But it was for us to help others, and so we have more in common than we have differences. But in law enforcement, we need to know these different things. What I consider may be considered offensive may not be offensive in your culture, or what you consider offensive may not be offensive in my culture, but we don't know that unless we talk. And then we misunderstand things. We see something, but if I sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, or have a cup of chai with you and things like that, we'll learn that, hey, that's pretty much what we want. I know you want your children to have a great education, for your children to prosper, to be safe. It's the same in we want our children to be safe and prosper. So like I said, we have more in common than we have different.
That's right. I love that statement. We have more in common than we do differences.
Yes.
As we wrap up here, we definitely really are grateful for your time, Sheriff Fagan. Before we let you go, though, anything you'd like to say to our South Asian listeners on Radiodabang?
Yes, I want to tell your listeners thank you for being a part of Fort Bend County. You're the reason Fort Bend County is one of the most educated counties in the state of Texas. economically, we're one of the best. Educated, the best. More families are moving here. More businesses, giving people jobs. That's because of the South Asian community and all other communities working together. Also keeping the community safe. You all working with the sheriff's office and other law enforcement agencies, being open to us. That's helped us. But also, I want y'all to remember, October 1st is the beginning of early voting. I want to continue to be your sheriff. I want to continue to keep you safe, and together we can do it.
That's right, that's right. So like he said, early voting begins on October 1st.
21st.
21st, I'm sorry. My apologies. Early voting begins October 21st. And Eric Fagan, Sheriff Eric Fagan, D-Man, thank you so much for having us here. And for everything that you do. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing today. This is a MyCon presentation on Radiodabang 99.5 FM. Thank you again, sir, for having us.
Thank you. It was my honor to be here.
All right.